Hey, welcome back to Learning to Program with Godot. So in this video I wanted to wrap up the Pirate Ship Manager kind of walkthrough. So let's take a look. So here's the intro scene. Actually, let's just go ahead and play it. So it's got an intro scene, and you can do a new game or exit out of the game. New game goes into the game, and here you have the option to explore, and you get a random encounter. So in this case it was a storm, and some bad stuff happened. I lost some lumber, canvas, and ammo. So then I can go into the shop, and you can buy things to replace stuff that goes missing, and that takes away from your overall gold. And then you can repair your ship. In this case I don't have any damage, so I don't need to do that. So I'm going to explore again, and this time I see a ship and I can board it, and based on some random numbers and your current stats, you have different outcomes that can happen. So anyways, there's only a few. There's another storm. Here's a small island. You can stop and investigate. And so in this case, yep, there's a big chance that you'll just take some damage trying to navigate around the island, but there's a small chance that you'll have a large gold reward of finding a chest. So anyways, that's kind of the idea of the game. There's the shop, in this case, so now I have some damage, so I can click repair, and it uses up some of my lumber and canvas and gives me some durability. So let's buy a little bit more canvas, and now my ship is almost full. And of course you have crew, and they can die off. See, one of my fellows, I lost him back here in a storm, I think. And so I can go. It is funny that it's under the shop. You know, perhaps if I was to spend more time, I would probably make like a tavern or something that you could visit that would allow you to recruit crew there, but also maybe find quests and stuff. So anyways, yeah, that's the game, and there's let me just bust through it real quick, and we'll probably not win doing this, so let's give it a shot. Ooh, there I got some gold. And there's a maximum gold, so if you get, I can't remember the number, we'll look in a minute, it's like 1,000 or 2,000 gold, you win. So here's the game over scene. I just snagged this one off the internet. I didn't do a bunch of art there, but anyways, there's a timer, and then it just resets back to the main menu, and then you can start a new game or exit. Alright, so let's take a look at how this works real quick. So the main menus, so let's look at the main menu. So that's this right here. So there's the two buttons, and on the scripts behind those there is just tree quit for the exit, and then get tree change scene is how you switch from one scene to another. And you can do fancier stuff where you have scene transitions and stuff like that, but this is just the easiest way to do that. So there's the menu scene, the win game scene. It's a little bit different. It has a timer called a continue timer, and that one just has a wait time of 5 seconds, and then at the end it has a one shot that calls this, which just sends you to the main menu. So that's how I do the win and loss. So let's jump into the main game here. So here's the main game, and it has some panels that are hidden. Right here I've got like the shop panel, and so you build it up, you put the panel on here, panel widget or node, and then you build it up, and then when you're done you can hide it like that so that you can see your main scene. And that seems to be how these panels are developed. You probably could develop these in their own scene as well, and then just include the scene here, which would probably be a little bit easier. But anyways, oh, there was a small animation on the can't afford. So if you couldn't afford something, let's go ahead and see that real quick. I may have shown that before, but so I'm just going to buy a bunch of lumber until I run out of money. And so see there, it flashes up and then fades out. Nice little effect there. It was real easy to do with the animation player. Yeah, and so then there's the event pop-up, which behaves much the same way. It has the pop-up, and then it has two generic buttons, and we'll see in a text box that's just got, you know, random text in it. We'll see how that's handled here in a second when we look at the code. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll jump into the code. Now I did break out some of these things like the shop panel, pop-up panel. I broke out its own code for updating the labels, and so that helps, and I did that as well with the event pop-up. That helps move some of the code out of this main script that's actually pretty long, and so that was kind of nice. And that was assisted by these player classes, or these classes. So I did the player state as a separate class, and I did the exploration events as a separate class. And we'll see how those are done in just a minute. But the nice thing about that is I can pass all those different variables, like the players, their gold, their ship status, and their inventory, all with this one property right here. And so you can see right here, so I'm updating the status labels, so that's all these things right here, all get updated with this one call called update labels, and I just pass it that player state right there. So that's kind of the idea of using those classes. And of course classes are much more powerful. You can add their own functions and things like that, but in this case I'm just using them to send some data. Alright, so anyways, let's go ahead and look through here. So I've got the explore button, and it basically just pulls up that pop-up, and the same with the shop. The repair button has a little bit of logic around, you know, if you're 100% ship durability, you can't repair anymore. And if you don't have enough lumber, then it has to, you know, it tells you how much it requires, that sort of thing. And then let's see, down here we've got our two buttons. So this is the event, this is the stuff that handles the event, and this looks pretty complicated, and I'll just scroll through this. I probably won't walk through it, but I'll just kind of scroll through it, and so that you can look at it and replicate it if you wanted to. So basically it's just a bunch of code that looks at the event object and then populates and handles the user interface accordingly. Alright, and then I have win and game over functions, and that was so I could do, and even though there's just one thing in here, it was so I could do more if I wanted to. Let's see, so I've got the shop buttons, and so I just kind of hand coded out each of the things that would happen, and I made a function for buying and selling because of the complexity around if you didn't have enough money, or you were at maximum capacity, things like that. And then here's the method for displaying the can't afford with that fade out that we saw. So that's almost it. The last thing I wanted to look at was the player state class. So this is how you make a class. Just like your other scripts, you use extends node, but then you give it a class name, and then you have all of your public properties and then any functions that you want to have, and this is how you do the constructor. So this one will fire off when this object is created. So I could put a text message here and you would see it. So I could do like print class created, like that. And now when I run this, because I have that one player state, when I create the game, there's that class created, and that's because I have that one class right here, pState. I called that, so that's what created that, and called this. Anyways, so that's how you do classes. Let's look at the exploration event. Same idea. It has a bunch of stuff up here. We'll look at that in a second. And then here I have another function called getRandomEvent, and basically it just looks at all the events in here and picks one randomly. So the downside in this case is I don't have any weighting on these, so it just randomly picks evenly between these, I guess, three or four results. And this looks pretty complicated. This is an array, and then this is a dictionary, and then within these I've got more arrays and dictionaries, so it looks pretty complicated. But the nice thing is this is basically a human readable text file, and I can describe all these different situations and the reactions to them. So it's pretty flexible, and if I spent more time, I could make quite a few more interactions and exploit some of these things I put in here. I put in a chance, so there's a probability that this result will happen, and when you click that button. Also, you can define what the button says, whether it's okay or yes or no, whatever you want to say. And then I also have a requirement. So in order for this action to happen, you are required to have that much ammo. And then here's the message that gets printed when that happens. And then there's the adjust, which is whether you gain or lose some stat or property. So anyways, that's the game. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this inspires you to work on something. I'm going to try and get back to working on the adventure world, and then I've got a new project that I'd like to start working on soon. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.